26th Judicial Circuit Division 1 Judge. Andrew Hartwick, Charlie Dickman, Stacy Patterson, Nick Meebrewer. We're going to start with our 1-minute opening statements. We'll begin with Stacy Patterson.
Good evening. Thank you, Tara and Ness, for this opportunity. My name is Stacy Patterson. I've been a criminal defense attorney in this circuit for 20 years. I've been a trial attorney all of that time. I'm currently the district defender of the Lebanon Trial Office of the Missouri State Public Defender. We handle 3 counties in the circuit, but I started originally in Miller County, was my first caseload back in 2004. And I would very much like the opportunity to be the Division I Circuit Judge, and hope you learn more about me through this process. Thank you for attending tonight and for listening, and thank you.
Andrew Hardwick.
Thank you. I'm Andrew Hardwick. I'm running for Circuit Judge. I've been practicing law for over 21 years. I primarily practice out of Versailles, but my practice is very focused on civil litigation and also prosecuting criminals at the present time. My experience is very courtroom intensive. I've got jury trial experience in civil jury trials. I've also got jury trial experience on criminal trials going through murder. In addition to running my own office in Versailles, I also prosecute part-time for Montauk County, handling all the level of cases up through murder that they handle there as well. So I bring a lot of experience over the past 2 decades to the bench. I know I've got the experience to do it the right way. I'm looking forward to an opportunity to give back. I'm very excited about it, and I'm looking forward to this chapter in my life. So I appreciate your support. I'll do it the right way, and vote for me on August 6th.
Thank you. Charlie Dickman.
Thanks, Tony. Hi, folks. I'm Charlie Dickman. I'm running for Judge 2, and I'm a constitutional conservative. I don't shy away from telling you my outlook on things. I've been involved in conservative causes my entire professional career, starting back in college. I was college Republican president, and I can still be a fair judge, and I can be a very effective judge at advancing justice. But I want you to know my background and who I am. I'm a Christian and I'm a constitutional conservative. Thank you, folks. Please consider voting for me on August 6th.
Thank you. Nick Meebrewer.
Good evening. My name is Nick Meebrewer. I was born and raised in Laclede County on a farm. I'm married to my wife of 28 years. We have 4 adopted children. We adopted an infant from Catholic Charities 21 years ago, and then a sibling group of 3 4 years later. So we went from 1 child to 4 children in a day. And then about 3 years ago, our oldest, they were all now grown. Our youngest just graduated from high school. And our oldest blessed us with our first grandchild. And I started my practice in Independence, Missouri, practicing with on cases involving groundwater contamination, products liability, and complex civil litigation. Then I moved on to, and currently I'm a child advocate in one of 2 in our circuit, representing half the children in foster care in our 5-county circuit. And I'm running because right now we are in desperate need of a new juvenile judge in our circuit, and that's what I'd like to do.
All right, very good. On to questions. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. We'll rotate the order of who starts. Stacy Patterson will start us out on the first question. Judges at all levels have a great deal of discretion in the judicial process. Can you explain your judicial philosophy?
Well, first, my primary duty is to, a judge doesn't make law, they follow the law. And as a judge has a duty to look at the law in front of them, each fact in each case, to not have an agenda going into any particular case, do their research, find out what that law really means, what the higher courts have held that means, and apply it to the facts of each case, and be fair and impartial, and not let their own views enter into the decision that they make.
Next for Andrew Hardwick. Judges at all levels have a great deal of discretion in the judicial process. Can you explain your judicial philosophy?
Well, I would agree there is some discretion, but it's limited when you really think of what a judge does. So a judge upholds the Constitution, applies the law. They have evidence that comes before them when they try a case and they apply it. Now there's some discretion when you have to look at credibility issues or what evidence is or isn't coming in. But it's very limited. You still have to follow what has been placed before you. That's your job as a judge. And if you do it the right way, then it builds integrity in the system. So when lawyers and clients come before a judge, they know that here's the way the laws are written. So we know that this is a spectrum that we're looking at for a case. So there is some discretion there, but the key to a good judge is doing it the right way by following the law, following the rules of evidence, making sure cases are tried the right way, and that builds integrity. So it's my goal to do that, to build integrity by doing it the right way.
Thank you very much. Next, Charlie Dickman. Judges at all levels have a great deal of discretion in the judicial process. Can you explain your judicial philosophy?
Sure, I don't think that the law should be decided upon what the judge had for breakfast that morning. I think it's very important we follow the letter of the law. As I said, I'm a constitutional conservative. I want to make sure I'm following the Constitution and the state laws in my decision making. I'm no Johnny-come-lately to constitutional conservative thought. I read this stuff at night before I go to bed. I know that's very boring sounding, but I just love the law and studying the law, and as far as I don't even remember the question at this point. It's something that you're not going to have to worry about me straying from the letter of the law. So that's my answer.
Very good. Nick Weaver. Judges at all levels have a great deal of discretion in the judicial process. Can you explain your judicial philosophy?
Certainly. I think fundamental to being an American, next to the right to vote and the right to own land, is the freedom to have children without government interference. I feel like we need to make sure that we protect our constitutional rights and in all matters, and making sure that the process is fair and impartial and just. Justice delayed is justice denied. One of the things that I hear on the campaign trail is that folks are frustrated that it takes so long to get a case resolved. I think setting reasonable expectations and moving cases forward is key. And so what I want to see happen is utilizing technology, keeping cases moving, and working toward efficiency in our courts so that we do get to a resolution. Folks need resolution, and that the fastest way, the best way to have a safe community is to find early resolution of our cases.
Question number 2. This is for Andrew Hardwick. When becoming a judge, which is more important, the number of cases you have handled as an attorney or the type of cases that you've handled?
It's certainly type of cases. Nobody should hang their hat on numbers in the court system. You want to handle your cases efficiently, and you want to handle the types of cases that you know you have experience to do. So on civil and criminal, obviously we're going to have a lot more criminal cases in the circuit. It's just nature of the types of cases that come before a circuit judge. But there's also a lot of important civil cases that take a lot more time than some of the criminal cases. The types of cases you're going to see are going to end up there by the jurisdiction anyway. So you just need to make sure you handle them the right way. So I wouldn't hang my hat on volume. I don't think that's something, we can't control that as judges. All you can control is the cases that come before you, and that you do them efficiently, you do them the right way, and you make sure the cases are handled properly.
Charlie Dickman, when becoming a judge, which is more important, the number of cases you handle as an attorney or the type of cases you've handled?
I think Andrew's right. It's the type of cases you've handled. I've practiced in Missouri for 23 years. I was on a law journal in the University of Missouri Law School in Columbia. And since that time, I've handled 3 types of cases: criminal, civil, and juvenile. And that's exactly the type of cases that the Division I and the Circuit Court down here at 26th Circuit handles. I've done all 3 types. I've handled everything from speeding tickets. If I don't win, if you got any, give me a call. But if I do win, I've also handled everything from speeding tickets all the way up to murder. I've handled civil cases. I've spent 10 years and 2 appeals on a civil rights case for 9 white women who worked at a major company. I can't tell you which one because it's confidential, but they were fired because they were older white women. They were told that, and I fought that for 10 years of my life and got that resolved in January of this year. So I've handled all kinds of cases.
Nick Meeber, when becoming a judge, which is more important, the number of cases you've handled as an attorney or the type of cases you handle?
I really believe that it's a combination of both. I think to be a good judge, we need a robust experience in a variety of cases. And I think Charlie is correct in that we need to have experience in juvenile court. That's our pressing need right now, in civil court and in criminal court. I think having, and I don't know that it's necessarily a set number, but a variety of cases, looking at, if you will experience different things in a variety of cases over time. And so I think having a volume is also important, but the types of cases also play a factor.
Stacey Patterson, what is more important, the number of cases you handle as an attorney or the type?
I would agree that it's both. This will be primarily a trial judge. The judge will preside over trials. I think trial experience is very important. It's important to have a lot of courtroom experience. And as a public defender, I'm in court almost every day of my life, as are some of these other gentlemen. I think juvenile experience is very important for this job, and I have represented juveniles all 20 years. I have less experience than the other gentlemen with civil work. I will say that civil trial work, the rules of evidence are the same or very similar. And any judge, I think 20 years of experience practicing in a courtroom on a daily basis prepares someone to research and be prepared. Judges prepare for their dockets just as attorneys do, to be prepared to handle any case in an efficient and just manner.
We talked about the three different types of cases a judge may face. We're going to focus in on criminal cases with this question, and Charlie Dickman will lead us off. Which factors are considered in sentencing defendants who have been found guilty of a crime?
You know, that's a really good question, and I think people need to understand that a lot of times the prosecutor's office and the victim's impact is very important in any sentencing. And a lot of times what would become before me should I be elected, the victim family and the prosecutor have already agreed to appropriate resolution, and then I as judge rubber stamp that. But as far as what comes in front of me on an open plea, which is where someone who is basically a defendant is there to say, I don't have a deal worked out with the prosecutor, I gotta be very careful how I answer that question, because I don't wanna say I'm gonna be too tough on crime and be the toughest judge you've ever seen, because then every criminal defendant will take a change of judge from me, and that's not fair to the other two circuit judges, because there'd be all my cases would end up in their lap or on their docket. And so it's important that you try to protect the community when you're sentencing. That's what I'll be thinking first and foremost in my mind.
Thank you very much. Nick Meader, what factors are considered in sentencing defendants who have been found guilty of a crime?
Well, it's a multifaceted decision, and it's about the victim, it's about the crime, and it's about the history of the defendant. Defendant, what you're really asking whoever is elected to have the judgment to determine whether the person that is being sentenced has committed a crime, is that type of person this was their first offense and the gravity of the crime wasn't great. Maybe they're appropriate for probation, but when they are a hardened criminal, someone that has been a repeat offender committing the same types of crime, well, the sentence is different. The recommendation from the prosecutor, which would also include the input from the victim, is all very important in making that decision. To that individual, the crime is the most important thing that has happened in their life, and I think we need to factor that in.
Stacey Patterson, which factors are considered in sentencing defendants who have been found guilty of a crime?
Well, the victim, it's very important to consider what the victim's needs and wants in relation to the sentence. It's very important to consider evidence-based practices and what really works to reduce recidivism in our communities that will make our communities safer. To consider the interest of the community, the interest of the defendant, and if they can be if things can be applied to them that will help them be rehabilitated and enter our community as productive members. And when that's not possible, there are many people that need to be incarcerated further.
And finally, for this question, Andrew Hardwick, which factors are considered in sentencing defendants who've been found guilty of a crime?
There's a lot of factors, and having worked both sides of it, you kind of, you see the different levels. Obviously, victim impact, I've dealt with murders on both sides. You have people that are killed. I've dealt with DWIs where kids have been hurt on the other side. That's a heavy victim impact case. You also have cases where there's prior and persistent. There are people that have committed crimes before, and so those are things that have to be taken into account. You have drug cases where, the question is how do we help that individual yet protect the community? And so that's where you heard Judge Coppin speak earlier about treatment court. Makes sense in a lot of those cases, but not all of them. So you look at a whole history on somebody. You look at what their impact was on the community, and there's a lot to it. It's not just a short list you go through. I can tell you just from personal experience, it can be very heavy. And judges are gonna have to make heavy decisions on those cases from both sides. So there's a lot that goes into it. That's certainly true.
We'll start with question 4. Everyone on the ballot, everyone here tonight has an extensive experience in the 26th Circuit. We will start with you, Nick Brewer. What do you see as the current strengths of the court system or needed changes?
Well, I think you heard a really great report on the positives from Judge Coppin, the things that are working well. I think our treatment court is being effective, and I've seen that really change the lives of someone at the verge of having their rights terminated in juvenile court, but got into the criminal drug treatment court, and they are now reunited, rehabilitated, and reunited with their children. That is fantastic. And so I think that is one area that we could grow. Currently, to be in drug treatment, in drug court, you have to have a criminal history. I think there's room to expand that to child abuse and neglect cases where not necessarily maybe a child in care, but not necessarily a crime arising to the level of a conviction. That avenue in would also be helpful to expand that. I think the use of technology is key.
Stacey Patterson, what do you see as the current strengths of the court system or needed changes?
Well, I would list drug court as an amazing, or treatment courts as an amazing thing that our courts are doing well. I'm a member of the Lee County Drug Court, and I take no credit for it at all, but I've seen amazing things, amazing changes in people's lives where they have got drugs rob people of who they are, and when they can start to be themselves again, to start to be productive, to feel like they are that they're part of our team, and that they can join the community again and can heal. That's amazing. I would love to expand treatment courts in our jurisdictions.
Andrew Hardwick, how do you see the current strengths in the court system or needed changes?
So the strengths, we got a good set of judges right now, and I want to be a part of that. I don't think we can complain about any of the judges we have. We're very fortunate. I do agree with Stacey. One of the things that I think we need to expand is the treatment court. We see this prosecuting cases a lot where there's a lot of mental health issues. We got to figure out how we're going to overlap that into treatment court. There's so much out of there that we see, and that affects the whole community. The strengths, and this may be not really a strength, our judges are very efficient. We have a very high volume caseload in this circuit. And so the judges are kind of overwhelmed even when they're doing things as well as they're doing things. It's just the fact that we've got a lot of cases in this area. And having 5 counties in a circuit is a big circuit if you look at the circuits in the state of Missouri, especially with the volume we get in the summers in Camden County as well. So maybe we need more judges, I guess could be an answer, but with the ones we have, just working as efficiently as we can.
Thank you. Charlie Dickman, what do you see as the current strengths of the court system or needed changes?
I think the biggest strength of the 26th Judicial Circuit is the civility among the lawyers and the judges. The judges treat the lawyers well. They let lawyers be lawyers in the courtroom. The lawyers treat each other well down here. I've practiced all over the state in 23 years. I started out in Kansas City, then when Ferguson happened, I took some big cases in St. Louis. There was a lot of reverse discrimination going on in St. Louis. When Ferguson happened, a lot of people got fired. You don't know about this, but I do. But anyhow, the St. Louis lawyers, they will just cut your head off right in front of you. Kansas City lawyers will stab you in the back. But down here, the lawyers treat each other very well. As far as something that could be worked on, I think cases can move a little quicker down here. That might not be, I'm just being honest. I think things can move a little quicker, especially criminal cases. I'd like to see more jury trials of criminal defendants. Doesn't seem like there's enough of them going on, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I may be wrong.
Thank you.
Very good. Before the last question, I do like to acknowledge that we understood it was a big ask for a bunch of attorneys to limit their responses to 1 minute. We appreciate you guys doing that. And Stacy's going to lead us off in this final question, and I want to keep it short as well. Who are your judicial role models and why?
Well, I have a lot of judicial role models in higher courts and in the Supreme Court, but I am so proud to have practiced for 20 years in front of the judges that I've practiced. I have the utmost respect for each and every judge I've appeared with. They've made it into the lawyer of the day by tough decisions, by holding my feet to the fire, and by doing the right thing, knowing the law, being competent, being caring about our communities. So I would say the 26 judicial circuit judges have been my role models, and I'm proud of that.
Andrew, who are your judicial role models and why?
Well, I would keep it on a local level too. I'm not one that really was a history buff or studied the Supreme Court much. Probably Mike McDormand. He's the individual that I really feel that I learned my trial chops from over the years. We tried a lot of very tough cases. So from a very early age, and when I started practicing, I was taking on tough cases and I was trying them. And there's only one way to figure out how to try a case, and that's just try it. And he taught me to do it the right way, which I think has given me the experience to be able to then call balls and strikes on tough cases that will come before a judge. And so I appreciate everything he's done for me. And there's so many other local attorneys, most of them a little bit older than I am, but you know, when you go into something like this, you keep your eyes open, your ears open, your mouth shut, and you learn from it. You see the best trying cases, and that's how you're gonna learn to try cases. And so I could give credit to so many people in this circuit, and I appreciate everything they've done, and they do it for a lot of the young attorneys coming through, which I'm very grateful for, and it's why we have such a great circuit here with a lot of good attorneys, excuse me.
Charlie, who are your judicial role models and why?
Judge Robert Bork from the 1980s, who was, if you remember, Joe Biden was a senator from Delaware at the time, and they scuttled Judge Bork's chance to be on the U.S. Supreme Court because he was a conservative. That was the first time in American history that a judge did not go to the Supreme Court having been nominated by the president because of his judicial philosophy. And they took him out, but he is an absolutely brilliant jurist. And I read, I mean, he is so smart, and I like reading all his books. He's been very important in my philosophy of jurisprudential philosophy. And he believes in limited government, the original understanding of the Constitution. You've got to have that, I think. And then when I look at statutes, if I'm elected, when I look at the Constitution, I look at statutes, I'm going to do it through that lens of the limited government and the limited judicial involvement in government.
And finally, Nick, who are your judicial role models and why?
I think we have been blessed in our circuit with fantastic judges. I think that Judge Hamner is a young guy, but I learned a lot from him. His predecessor was Judge Moore. Judge Moore always told me, he said, you know, I'm not right more times than not because I'm smarter than anyone else or I have some special skill. I'm right more times than not because I'm last and I take time to listen. I think being fair, impartial, I think being kind, making sure that no matter what has happened, that defendant still deserves some level of respect in our courtroom. And I want to show that, but also provide justice. And I think those two gentlemen have taught me that, and those are the footsteps that I would like to follow as I seek this position and hope to take the bench. Thank you.
At this time, mostly because I don't want Luke to stab me with a pen again, we're going to do 2-minute closing statement. We'll start with Nick Meeber.
Very briefly, over my nearly 30 years of practice, I've dedicated my time to protecting the constitutional rights of families and children, seeking justice for those children and the most vulnerable in our communities. And I want to continue to take that experience and utilize it from the bench. I believe that I have developed over that time the experience, the heart, and have participated in hard, very difficult cases. In juvenile court, we talk about that a lot, but when we terminate parental rights, before that can happen, the attorney for the child has to stand, raise their right hand, and swear that it is in the best interest of the child for you to impose the death penalty. That's what the Supreme Court calls termination of parental rights. I have had to make that recommendation to our court more times than I wish to count. But the gravity of that decision, that's the skill set that I bring to the bench, and I would certainly appreciate your vote. My name is Nick Meeber. Would you please vote for me on August 6th?
Thank you, sir. Charlie Dickman, 2-minute closing.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. I want to acknowledge my son's here, my 19-year-old. He's nearly a 4.0 student in Missouri S&T studying aerospace engineering. My wife and daughter couldn't make it because my 15-year-old daughter needed to be picked up at Big Surf where she works. So we couldn't all be here, but I have a great family. That's the best thing to know about me. It's the best thing I have going for me is my family. And my wife used to be, when we lived up in Kansas City, my wife was chairwoman of the Platte County Republican Central Committee. So we've been very involved in politics at the grassroots level for decades now. And I know as a judge, I won't be a politician, I'll be a jurist. And that's important to me, and I'll take that responsibility very seriously. I'll be fair to everyone that comes into the courtroom. I'll be a consistent judge, so people will know what to expect from me. And I'll do my very best at every single case. I want to thank the other 3 folks running for judge. They're good people too. And we've gotten along very well, and this may be our last forum, so I just want to say thank you to Andrew and Stacy and Nick, because we've all been trying very hard. And thanks again. I'd appreciate like Nick, I'd appreciate your vote on August 6th. Thanks.
Andrew Hardwick, 2-minute close.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Over the last 2 decades, I've tried a lot of cases. I've represented realtors, I've represented bankers, construction, I've represented both sides of criminal. These are real cases that happen here. I've done those at the circuit level, trying those cases, trying them to judges, trying them to juries. So when you look for a circuit judge, you want somebody that knows the cases that are going to come before them. And I've done all that in this circuit. And as a circuit judge, you're going to have a day where you're going to have to deal with civil cases followed by criminal cases. And you're going to be on the spot all day. You're going to need a judge that has experience calling balls and strikes and knowing how to handle these different cases if you want to have an efficient court. And I think the experience in the broad range of areas really has served me well, and it'll serve me well in this position, and I look forward to applying it. I'm really excited about it. I like trying cases. I like resolving things for clients. I like the way our legal system works when it works the right way. I don't like it when I see people complain about it because things aren't going the right way, because I take that personally. I want to be part of doing things the right way. I know I've got the experience to do it the right way. I want to be a part of that. I think it's something that I can take a lot of pride in. I've got the work ethic to do it. Anybody who knows me knows I burn it at both ends, 50+ hours a week, and I have for 20+ years. But I look forward to applying that now as a judge, and I think I've got the experience to do it the right way, and I really look forward to it. It's very exciting to me, and I think it's a great honor to even have this opportunity. So I'd appreciate all your support.
Thank you. Stacey Patterson, 2 minutes.
Thank you. Having been with the Public Defender's Office for 20 years, I have developed a number of skills that I think will make me a very good candidate for this position. And one of those is courage. I can tell you that being a public defender we don't turn anyone away. If anyone is charged with a crime and they are indigent, meaning they don't have money to hire people to stand up for them, we don't turn them away. So we don't choose our cases. And we fight for each and every one of those people. And we grow to care about them. We grow to know who their families are and the struggles that they've had, and we come to understand what has brought them to that position in their lives, and that's important work. And a judge should understand those things. So I'm very proud of that. I've been in a courtroom almost every day of those 20 years. I supervise now young attorneys who are also in those courtrooms, coming to love our clients, not always, but definitely defending their rights, making sure that if someone's charged with a crime, as they should be, the government should prove that, and that we need to uphold, and we hold the line for the Constitution for not just our clients, but for everybody in our community, and it's important work. And these gentlemen also take that work seriously, I know, but I think that perspective is vital for a judge, and it's applicable to civil cases, it's applicable to any case. And so that's why I want to be your judge, and if I am your judge, I'll do my very, very best every day. Thank you.
Thank you. You're watching and listening to the Candidate Forum on KRMS TV and radio. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with the candidates running for Camden County Commissioner, District Number 2.